Welcome to Unposed. This show is made possible by the generosity of Mrs. Kristen Collier, her belief in this project, and her faith in the message behind it. Her support helped bring Unposed into the world, and it does not go unnoticed. I'm Amber Lane, an award-winning boudoir photographer, unofficial confidence coach, and the creator of a supportive women's community I've been building since 2017. And this is Unposed, a show about confidence, body image, femininity, sensuality, and the quiet work of coming back to yourself. Today, I want to talk about something I think a lot of women understand, even if we've never put words to it. The way that we learn to make ourselves smaller so other people feel comfortable. Not necessarily physically smaller, although that is part of it sometimes, but emotionally smaller. Less visible, less delighted, less openly proud, less sensual, less interested in beauty, less certain of ourselves, less willing to take up space in a room or a photograph or a relationship or a conversation or even in our own lives. There's a version of relatable that women are rewarded for, and I want to be careful here because I'm not talking about honesty. I love honesty. I love when women are able to say, I'm having a hard time, or I don't feel good in my body right now, or I'm struggling, or I don't know who I am this season. That kind of vulnerability matters. That kind of softness matters. That kind of truth can be deeply connecting. But there's something else that gets mistaken for relatability, and sometimes it's not really connection. Sometimes it's a shared agreement to abandon ourselves a little. Sometimes it's women bonding over who can dismiss herself the fastest, who can downplay herself the most, who can laugh off a compliment before it has time to land, who can say, oh, I look awful before anyone else has the chance, who can say, I'm a mess before she risks saying, I actually feel good today. And I don't think a lot of us do this because we're fake. I think a lot of us do it because we were taught that confidence can be socially dangerous. A woman who is insecure is usually easier for people to comfort. A woman who is confident can be harder for people to categorize because insecurity asks for reassurance. Confidence asks people to examine their own discomfort. And there's something very tender about that. Because I don't think that most women are afraid of confidence because we're vain or shallow or petty. I think a lot of us are afraid of what it might cost us. We know somewhere in our bodies that being visibly pleased with ourselves can change the way people respond to us. If you say, I hate this picture, people know what to do. They can say, no, you look great. They can soothe you. They can join in the familiar rhythm of self-criticism. But if you say, I love this picture of me, the room can get a little strange because now you're not asking for permission. You're claiming something. You're saying, I see myself. And sometimes that makes people uncomfortable. I see this all the time in my work. Women come into my studio and they are so often apologizing before they even begin. They apologize for being nervous. They apologize for not knowing what to do. They apologize for their normal bodies. They apologize for not losing weight first. They apologize for being awkward. They apologize for wanting the session in the first place. Or they'll say things like, I know this is silly, or I'm not the kind of person that usually does this, or you're going to have to work miracles, or I'm sorry, I'm just not photogenic. And I always hear something else underneath that. It's rarely about the photos. It's usually a much deeper question. Am I allowed to want this? Am I allowed to see myself this way? Am I allowed to be beautiful without making a joke out of it? Am I allowed to be sensual without proving I'm still a good person? Am I allowed to take myself seriously? Am I allowed to stop apologizing for being seen? And the answer every single time is yes. You are allowed to want the photograph. You are allowed to want the lipstick. You are allowed to want the dress, the lingerie, the soft robe, the good light, the pretty version of the room. You're allowed to want to look at yourself and feel something other than criticism. You are allowed to feel beautiful without immediately making yourself smaller to balance it out. And that's the part I really want to sit with for a minute, because I think women are so often taught that beauty has to be balanced with this apology. Like if you know you look good, you need to quickly prove that you are also humble. If you care about how you look, you need to quickly prove that you're still deep. If you love adornment or atmosphere or sensuality or style or the feeling of being desired, you need to quickly prove that you're not vain. If you enjoy being photographed, you need to quickly explain why. It's for healing. It's for confidence. It's for art. It's for empowerment. It's for your partner. It's for your birthday. It's for your anniversary. It's because you went through something hard. And of course, it can be all of those things. I believe in those things. My whole work is built around the fact that being photographed can be transformative. But I also think we should be allowed to say something much simpler. I wanted to feel beautiful. I wanted to see myself. I wanted to remember this version of me. I wanted to have proof that I was here. I wanted one day where I wasn't responsible for being useful or practical or low maintenance. I wanted to be witnessed, and that should be enough. Wanting beauty does not make a woman shallow. Sometimes beauty is the doorway back in. Sometimes lipstick is not just lipstick. Sometimes a photograph is not just a photograph. Sometimes putting yourself in soft light and letting yourself be seen is the first time in years that you realize you've been treating your own body like a problem to solve instead of a life you are living inside. And I think that's why confidence can feel so vulnerable. We talk a lot about vulnerability as if it only looks like crying, confession, breaking down, admitting pain, and yes, that is vulnerability. But confidence can be vulnerable too. Joy can be vulnerable. Pleasure can be vulnerable. Sensuality can be vulnerable. Letting yourself be admired can be vulnerable. Receiving a compliment without fighting it can be vulnerable. Looking at a picture of yourself and saying, "I love her," can be vulnerable because suffering is familiar. Self-criticism is familiar. A lot of women know how to gather around pain. We know how to say, yes, same, when someone else says they hate their arms or their stomach or their face or the way they're aging. We know how to sit together in that, but delight can be more confronting. A woman enjoying herself can make people nervous. A woman who is not apologizing can make people suspicious. A woman who is visibly alive in her body, in her beauty, in her creativity, in her sensuality, in her own taste and appetite for life can make other people feel like she's breaking a rule. And maybe she is. Maybe the rule was never spoken out loud, but we all felt it. Don't think too highly of yourself. Don't be too much. Don't outshine anyone. Don't make other women feel bad. Don't make men want too much. Don't enjoy attention. Don't be vain. Don't be difficult. Don't be intimidating. Don't be the kind of woman people talk about. Don't make yourself a target. So we learn to manage other people's comfort. We learn to soften our edges before anyone complains. We learn to say, "Oh, this old thing," when we know we look good. We learn to say, "I'm a disaster," when we're actually proud. We learn to make ourselves less threatening by making ourselves less alive. But there comes a point where you have to ask yourself, am I responsible for managing everyone else's relationship to themselves, or am I responsible for living my own life? Because sometimes another woman's confidence will bring something up in you, and that is real. I think it's worth saying that. Sometimes when you see another woman looking beautiful or feeling free or feeling desired or taking up space, it might sting. Not because she did anything wrong, but because she touched a place in you that still feels hungry. A place that still feels unseen. A place that still feels like there is not enough room. Not enough beauty, not enough attention, not enough admiration, not enough permission, not enough life to go around. And if you have spent years shrinking yourself, another woman's fullness can feel like an accusation, but it's not an accusation. It's an invitation. Another woman being beautiful does not mean you are less beautiful. Another woman being confident does not mean you're failing. Another woman being desired does not mean there's less desire in the world. Another woman being seen does not mean you have to be erased. That scarcity is something we were handed. It is not the truth. And I think suppressed women often become more competitive than expressed women. Not because there's something wrong with them, not because women are naturally catty or jealous or cruel. I hate that framing. I think a lot of resentment comes from deprivation. When you have not given yourself permission to want, it can be painful to watch another woman want freely. When you have not allowed yourself to be seen, it can be painful to watch another woman stand in the light. When you've spent your whole life trying to be low maintenance, it can be painful to watch another woman ask for beauty, care, attention, softness, or pleasure without apologizing. But the answer is not for her to shrink. The answer is for you to stop shrinking too. And that is where things begin to change. Because a woman who is rooted in herself is not usually less generous. She's usually more generous. When you are not starving for permission, you can celebrate another woman receiving it. When you're not treating beauty like a limited resource, you can delight in someone else's beauty. When you're not trying to earn safety through self-erasure, you can be around other women's confidence without needing to punish her for it. You can say, she looks incredible, and not hear, I must look terrible. You can say, she's magnetic, and not hear, I'm forgettable. You can say she's having her moment and not hear there's never going to be one for me. That is one of the most healing things about women's confidence when it is not built on comparison. It creates room. It gives permission. It says you can stop apologizing too. And I have watched this happen in my studio and in my community over and over and over for years. I've watched women see other women's portraits and not respond with jealousy, but relief. Because something about seeing a real woman be photographed beautifully makes it feel possible. Not a celebrity, not a model, not someone whose whole life is built around being looked at. A real woman with a job, maybe a woman with children, maybe a woman who's been through divorce, a woman that has survived something, a woman who has aged, a woman whose body has changed, a woman who is nervous, a woman who thought she would hate every image, and there she is. Soft, strong, sensual, funny, elegant, powerful, alive, not perfect, not pretending, just seen. I think that's what so many women are craving. Not perfection, not a hierarchy, not proof that they're better than anyone else, just a place where they are allowed to exist without immediately reducing themselves. A place where beauty does not have to be apologized for. A place where confidence is not treated like arrogance. A place where sensuality is not treated like performance. A place where being photographed is not silly or vain or embarrassing. A place where a woman can say, I want to see myself, and then not have to defend that desire. That is the heart of this work for me. Yes, I take beautiful photos. Of course I care about posing and light and expression and wardrobe and all the little details that make an image work. But more than that, I care about what happens when a woman stops fighting herself long enough to be witnessed. I care about that tiny moment when she looks at the back of the camera and her face changes. I care about the moment she realizes she is not waiting to become someone else before she is allowed to be seen. I care about the exhale, the, oh, that's me? The, I didn't know I could look like that. Oh my God, or the, I wish I had done this sooner. Because underneath all of that is something so much bigger than a photograph. It's a woman realizing she has been allowed all along, allowed to take up space, allowed to be soft, allowed to be sensual, allowed to be complicated, allowed to be beautiful, allowed to be aging and still desirable, allowed to be nervous and still powerful, allowed to be seen without earning it through suffering first. And maybe that is what I want this episode to be most of all. A little permission slip. Not because you need one from me, but because sometimes it helps to hear it from another woman. You don't have to apologize for being fully alive. You don't have to perform insecurity to be loved. You don't have to make yourself smaller so other people can avoid their own discomfort. You don't have to explain why you care about beauty. You don't have to justify wanting softness, attention, sensuality, creativity, pleasure, admiration, or a life that just feels beautiful to live inside. You can be kind without being self-erasing. You can be humble without being invisible. You can be relatable without bonding through self-hatred, and you can be confident without being cruel. You can be beautiful without owing anyone an apology for it. And when you let yourself live that way, someone else may see you and feel a little freer, not because you told her what to do, but because you made yourself an example, because you stopped treating your own light like something dangerous. And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes one woman letting herself be seen gives another woman permission to stop hiding. So maybe next time you catch yourself brushing off a compliment, pause. Maybe the next time you feel the urge to make a joke at your own expense, pause. Maybe the next time you want something beautiful and immediately feel the need to explain why it's practical or justified or not too much, pause and ask yourself, am I being humble or am I apologizing for existing? Am I being relatable or am I abandoning myself for approval? Am I being kind or am I making myself smaller so no one else has to feel uncomfortable? There's no shame in realizing you've been doing it. Most of us have. I still catch myself doing it. This isn't about becoming perfectly confident overnight. It's about noticing the little places where you disappear and then gently choosing to stay. Choosing to receive the compliment, just say thank you. Choosing to wear the thing, choosing to take the picture, choosing to let yourself be proud or enjoy what you want without immediately paying for an apology. Choosing to be fully alive. That is not selfish. That is not shallow. That is not too much. That is part of coming back to yourself. And that's what we're here to do. Thank you for being here with me today. If this episode brought up something in you, I hope you'll sit with it gently. Pay attention to where you feel the urge to shrink, dismiss, explain, or apologize. Not so you can judge yourself for it, but so you can start giving yourself another opinion. You're allowed to be seen. I'm Amber Lane. This is Unposed, and I'll see you next time.